Dear brothers and sisters, yesterday, August 21st, was the death anniversary of the Bhandara for Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj. Many of us who are on the spiritual path are on the path because of His grace. And many of us in this room were initiated in the mysteries of the beyond through the grace of Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj. He was the first master in the Sangmat tradition to set foot on Western soil. And we find that because of his tireless efforts and because of his grace, today there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people all around the Western Hemisphere who are meditating, who are connecting with the divine light and sound of God. And as he would always say, he would say, go jolly. He knew that we all would be passing through phases which might be difficult for us. He knew that ups and downs of life are a part of life. There will be times when financial difficulties will come in, there will be times when other difficulties will come in, there will be times when difficulties that are not there will seem like they're difficulties for us. And so he gave two very simple words: to go jolly and be happy in all kinds of circumstances. When we look at our life, we find that we get perturbed very, very easily. We feel things are not going our way, and we are trying our very best to have a way, to get what we think is correct. But irrespective of what we think is correct, when things are not going our way, we many times get very, very perturbed. And when we get perturbed, then we create more difficulties for ourselves. Because it's a known fact today that if there is stress in our being, that the body is going to suffer. Whether we have blood pressure, whether we have other diseases or illnesses that are associated with stress, just being in a state where we are uncomfortable with the surrounding puts tremendous strain on the physical being. And one leads to another. When illnesses come in, the more stress comes into the being. And so we need to get to a state in which we deal with all difficulties, quote-unquote difficulties of our life in a happy and joyous manner. That's easier said than done. When we feel the difficulties are falling on us, it's very difficult to keep ourselves in a happy mood. But if we look back at life, we'll find that we've been through many, many difficult stages. Whether as a child we had difficulty dealing with others, whether as a student we had difficulty dealing with one course or another, whether as an adult we had difficulties getting a job, or difficulty in other areas of life which we felt were very, very important. And if we look back today, those times of turmoil, those times of difficulty are all behind us. At that time, whatever situation seems to be creating difficulties for us seems very, very big. It seems unsurmountable. It seems it'll never go away. It seems our life is just going to be like that. But looking back, we've all gone through phases when we've been physically sick. Or we had a fever which was very high, or we got an illness which we thought, boy, I'm going to die, or something else happened in our life that made us feel that we'll never get out of the doldrums. But those times passed away too. So those four words, this too shall pass, is is good to know. But this too shall pass in a jolly manner is what is required. It's going to pass, there's no doubt about it. It will pass with us crying and being difficult on ourselves and with others that we live with, or it'll be states where pain comes to us, so we suffer. As there was a statement which says something to the effect like difficulties of life are normal. We all have to pass through them, but suffering is optional. It's we who have to decide whether we suffer through that what we feel is a difficult phase, because what we feel is a difficult phase might not be a difficult phase for someone else. It's for us, because we are in that state where we find the difficulty of that environment. And so, do we pass through that phase in a happy and a joyous manner? Or do we pass through that phase like crying and, feeling, in God forbid me and everything is wrong for me, or everyone else is taking advantage of me, and blah, 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 whatever the other reasons we have. We have 50 million reasons. Everyone has so many reasons for whatever state they're in. And so, when we look at the life of Sant Kirpal Singh Ji Maharaj, when we look at the lives of great saints and mystics, they all exhorted us to be happy and be joyous. And we find examples after the life of Master Kirpal. There was a great influenza which hit in India. At that time, India and Pakistan were one country called India. It wasn't partitioned. The Great Plague hit so badly that many, many people were dying. And deaths were coming so frequently that there wasn't enough time to cremate the people. And when someone had a plague, because plague was considered to be something which could be passed on to someone else when you touch someone. So people in the family were reluctant to even cremate their family members. And so Master Kirpal took a bunch of Sevadas and they went day and night like cremating to be able to cremate people who passed away, so that their last rites could be done, depending on whatever faith they were from. People that they never knew in their own lifetime, people who were just left around because no one would claim their bodies. And so, difficulties do come in life. There might be times when, let's say the tsunami hit and the people who got hit in those areas, had a lot of difficulties come to them. There are other times when there's a famine in a country. There are other times when there are wars in countries. And so there have been difficulties which have come into the lives of many people. And then there are other personal difficulties that we all go through. For us to not keep a happy existence is to create more difficulty. Not only for ourselves, but also for everyone else in the surrounding. We should realize that 75% of our life is preordained. There's an interesting theory that I think about. This is the season when we all want to be outside. So when we're all outside, in the evening, you want to have a dinner outside, you want to be in your backyard, you're out there, what happens? There's some mosquitoes who come out and bite you. How many got bit by a mosquito this season? Okay. So what do you think is the reason? Why is the mosquito coming and biting us? They love your blood. Now you have to think about, there are like so many mosquitoes out there, we can't count them, right? But they come and they bite. And what is the interesting part is not only do they bite you, you feel the sting, but then you scratch. Yeah, and then what happens is 2, 3, 4 days later, if your hand touches the place, you can't keep from itching. So the mosquito has left a mark on you. It says, okay, here's my mark. 4, 5, 10 days later, when you touch this point, you can remember me. Okay? Because he's a friend from your past life. That's his way of reminding us, okay, I'm a buddy too. And not only right now, you can remember me for a few days. So, there's a lot of give and take in life. And we, many times, are not aware of what we did in our past life, so we have no clue as to why certain things are happening, or why a difficulty comes to us, or why do we get a fever which is like 104 degrees? All of a sudden, we can say it's a swine flu, came because of pigs or whatever. Or why it comes to us as so many people. We don't understand that, but we don't know what we are paying for because we have no indication about what we did before. So you can either sit and you can cry, oh, why did the mosquito bite me? Or you can say, okay, it's my friend, boy, it's good. I should have embraced him nicely. You need to look at life from a joyous point of view, a happy point of view. Every interaction, whether it's painful for us or not, is good. Because if it's a happy interaction, then it makes us happy. If it's a painful interaction, then it burns off our past karma. So there's goodness from both sides. See, we have this load of karma to be burned off. So not all of it is going to burn in one day. So if there's a little pain comes, that's very good, because then that karma is gone, it's burned off, it's gone. Something happy comes to us, that's good too. We're benefiting from whatever we did before. And then we have 25% free will, and it is in that free will that we keep ourselves happy. Because there are people who, when they get sick, they write a big note to the master. Say, oh, I got sick, I went to the doctor said, blah, 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 you're going to die tomorrow. Then 2 days later, meet them, they say, boy, when I went to the doctor next day, it was a miracle. I'm okay. And, from like tears in their eyes, they go beaming like anything. If they would have more faith, they would realize that difficult period will pass away. Their karma has been burnt. And they are burning the karma slowly, slowly, slowly. Because if all of our karma is burned in one day, then we are in a lot of trouble. But a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little, we can deal with it, And so, Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj held many, many initiates all around the globe to be connected with the source of all healing. Today, we live in an age where we got many, many practitioners. Most of them think that they're experts in healing the body. Whether it's an allopathic doctor, or a homeopathic doctor, or an Ayurvedic person, or another person, they've learned the skills for the body and they help us deal with the body. But what is needed is true healing of the spirit, the soul. And Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj would often say, if your spirit is healed, your body, your mind, your emotions all would be healed. And what is happening is, healing the body is important because that's what most people think they are, and so that's what we relate to. And so when there's a pain here or pain there, we feel it's with us, and so the need for doctors and practitioners in the medical arena, whichever arena might be, and there are many, many terrific therapies out there which help people, are good. But we should think about going a step beyond. If a body is healed, that's very good. But what about the spirit? If the spirit is not healed, but the body is truly healed, this body cannot live forever. That's the main problem. This body is going to go one day anyway. Or go in the sense that the body could be totally fit and the specimen could be totally physically fit. But when the soul leaves the body for good, the body is unable to do anything. The person could be 6 foot tall, they could be 180 pounds, they could be well featured, they could be well proportioned, they could be in the best of health, but as soon as the soul leaves the body for good, that body then is inactive, can't do anything. And so, instead of focusing all our energy on just one aspect of our existence, we need to go for that aspect which is going to make our existence in the human body truly helpful to us, and that is to heal the spirit. That's to have the soul merge with God, and that is to have our soul be one with God, and that happens as we connect with the divine power within. And so that power of God is within each and every one of us. And as we invert, and that's what meditation is all about, it's a process by which we invert, it's a process by which we go within, it's a process by which we connect with the divine power within. Then we are uplifted into regions after regions of beauty, of joy and bliss. And unless you experience that, it's all hearsay. So one has to sit, one has to experience the divine, one has to be in that state. Then we experience the divine power within ourselves, and as we experience that, boy, are we full of happiness and joy. We're full of having our faith being stronger and stronger because we have experienced for ourselves what the divine power is. Sant Kirpal Singh Ji Maharaj would often exhort us to not wait a second to go for that experience. He would always say, if someone said, I'll do it tomorrow, he'll say, why not today? If someone said, I'll do it today, he'll say, why not now? He wanted us to be able to experience it because he knew that once we experience the divine power, then we would want to be in that state more and more and more. But we don't experience it, we talk about it, we never take the time out to say it, we never take the time out to be in a state where we can truly experience the divine light and sound of God. Then it's there, we read about it, we hear about it, but we haven't experienced it. So the key is in being able to experience for ourselves the connection between our true self, our soul, and God. And that can happen for each and every one of us. And he would tell us, irrespective of our faiths, irrespective of our education, irrespective of what we look like, we all can experience God because we're all children of God. We all might look different on the outside, but on the inside, what gives us life is our soul, and that soul is conscious. That soul is full of the love and light of God. And that soul needs to experience God to be in a state of happiness and joy. And as we all remember, Sant Kirpal Singh Ji Maharaj on this day, and the help and the guidance that he brought to millions and millions of people all around the globe. True remembrances of the great saints come, or anyone comes, when we emulate them. When we put into our being that what they preach, what they taught. And so for us to be able to reach that state, Sant Kirpal Singh Ji Maharaj had another few words which, even though a few, are very, very important. He would say, be good, do good, be one. A life full of virtues, an ethical life, is a stepping stone to spirituality. It's needed, it's the first steps that we need. And so if we lead our life in being good, thinking good, and trying to lead our lives in a manner where goodness comes from us, so we're helping and caring, and then in doing activities which are good, so that our activities that are happening to us, our actions are good. They bring happiness to someone, they bring happiness to our families, to our neighborhood, to our societies, and wherever you go. That when we lead a life in which we are being good, in which we are doing good things, then we are readying ourselves to be one with the Creator. And being one with the Creator is the goal for which each and every one of us has come into this world. And so, as we pass through life, we need to create an atmosphere around us which is happy, which is joy, which is full of goodness. Because wherever there's goodness, there's bound to be happiness. Because when good things are happening, we all are happy. And so the go jolly principle, along with the be good and do good principle, are helping us get to our goals of being one with God. And so as we remember Sant Kirpal Singh Ji Maharaj, and there are millions of people all around the globe who are focused on his life, who are focused on his teachings, who are leading lives so that they can experience the divine power within themselves. So as we remember him on this day, let us put into practice the principles that he laid down for us to get to our goals. And those are that on a daily basis we find time for our meditative practices. He would say we should give a minimum of 10% of the daily time to our spiritual practices. That comes to about 2.5 hours. That looks like a lot of time. He says, but when you start to meditate, when you start to enjoy being in that state, then you'll find that that's not a lot of time. Because when we look at how we spend our life, so much time goes in talking to someone, so much time goes in getting from one place to another, so much time goes in those activities which are not fruitful to us at all. And so if we are truly focused towards our goal, then we will have our life be led in a manner in which that time can easily be taken out of the 24 hours to put to our spiritual practices. It's a question of where we think the priorities are. Whatever is important to us, that's what we do. Whatever we think is important to us, that's what we do. Most of us all got in the habit of brushing our teeth every day. Why? Because as a child it was drilled into us that this is important. So we all do it, irrespective of when we get up. Whether you get up 3 o'clock in the morning, you do it. Whether you get at 6 o'clock in the morning, you do it. Whether you get at 11 o'clock in the morning, you do it. There are many people brush their teeth before going to bed, or maybe other times of the day too, which is even a better habit. But most people do brush their teeth every day. Why? Because we got into the habit. We think it's good for us. If we realize that meditation is truly going to help us get to our goals, then we'll put it into our life. And when we put it into our life, we'll find that the results are going to be tremendous. So let us meditate for a few minutes. Please sit as comfortably as you can. Please close your eyes very gently, just like we close our eyes when we go to sleep. Our eyeballs should be straight, focus 8 or 10 inches in front of us. And as we focus right in front of us, those of us who have been initiated in the mysteries of the beyond, let's do our Simran. And those of us who are new here, repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. This repetition of God's name should be done mentally and not out loud. I pray to God Almighty to help each and every one of us here connect with the divine power within and to experience the divine light of God within ourselves. We'll be sitting for a few minutes, and it's my prayer to the three-red Master of the past century, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Kirpal Singh Ji Maharaj, and the gracious Master Sandarshan Singh Ji Maharaj to help each and every one of us here experience the light in its effulgence. I'll be getting you out of this meditative state in a few minutes, and my best wishes are with each and every one of you.